So I'm going to do a little painting of a river scene using mixed media, ink, water, some acrylic and some oil pastel. I'm going to use a very limited palette, Dark Purple, Quinacridone Gold and Payne's Grey. And here I'm putting on some oil pastel. You can't really see it, but it's going on. I'll be covering all that up again in a minute. This creates a sort of a resist to some of the other things I'm going to put on in a little while. Somewhat of a resist, not a massive amount of resist, but just a bit. This is a very quick painting I'm doing here. Okay, put those down for a minute. And now out with the brush. Okay, here goes. Let's put on some Payne's Grey to start with. And I'm employing some acrylic medium as well. Putting on just nice big flat washes there. And then I'm going to dive in with some Quinacridone Gold over here where those bushes are, and also over here on these trees over here. So I'm working kind of very, very briskly, I would say. And then down here I'm going to mix quinacridone and the purple together to make a sort of a browny grey, and I'm going to block in some things that could turn into some rocky boulders. I'm using the flat of the brush. But I'm also going to put into this some acrylic ink because I just like the effect of one thing running into another. So this is very bold, very incautious, I suppose, but let's see what happens. Bit of spatter because I always enjoy doing that. Some of that over there as well. And then I'm going to splash that about a bit with a bit of spray. And also, while that's going on, I'm going to be adding to this some thicker paint with a palette knife. Basically because I just like the effect of a few sharp lines. Let's roll this out here. And that's quite handy for putting in some shadows under the tree here. So, yeah, there we are. Over here, this is lots of trees over here as well. And up at the back here, there's quite a lot of trees. Let's see what. A few tree trunks up there. Pick up the palette knife again. And put a few boulders across here as well. And I can cut into that with a few marks as well. Well, I'm at it. I can lighten up this background with some purple. A little bit of quinacridone to make a sort of browny purple, to give a sense of sort of distance through there, kind of. I'm just going to lift some of that out because I can then create a little bit of texture into that as well. Okay, that's not too bad. And while that's drying, I'm going to work into that some uprights using the purple for some tree trunks further down the river. And also maybe some darks under here. It's gone a bit crazy. And if I scratch into that, I will be able to create some light shapes as well, and into that as well. Now this is going to be a mere impression of what's going on. It's not a realistic painting in any way, it's just a sort of an impression. But I'm working from a sketch, which I'll show you in a minute. Now while this is drying down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut into it with a palette knife and create some nice shapes in through here. Create some highlights through there. A few boulders in the river here. Let's use a bit of ink. I can use this to create some marks over here. So I'm working all over this painting all at the same time, which is sometimes a good idea, not always though. While that is in the process of drying, I'm going to draw some reflections down through the water using the quinacridone and purple to create a brown. And just pull some shapes down through here. Just have a little break for a minute for that to dry. So let's dry it a bit now. So I'm going to put a bit of blue down through here. This is reflections from the trees behind. Oh, that's come out a bit dark. Quinacridone gold. And I am picking up some of the paint underneath, but if I run a finger across there, that'll break that shape up a little bit. And a little bit of that down through here as well. And also, I can use some of that quinacridone on a palette knife and create some light shapes over here as well. Again, a bit of scoring through there. Just making a bit more of those reflections down through there. Some of them are quite dark, so I don't mind them like that. And now I'm going to pick up a little bit of colour on a tissue, and I'm just going to blot that into there, print marks into this background area, just to give the impression of broken leaves, foliage kind of thing. And likewise, I'm going to add a few more bits of texture on this tree here. Gone a bit dark, but let's just lighten it up. Okay, so now just going to let that dry for a minute. And now we're sort of getting into the final moments of this. I'm going to go in with a bit of my oil pastel, and I'm just going to put a bit more texture onto here with it. Just over the top a little bit. And then I'm going to use some white body colour to just put in some little bit of sparkle on this river. Now again, I'm using the palette knife, but I'm just using the very edge of it just to score some marks showing flying water down through here. Here's some rocks, so there might be some broken water here, like so. And then a little bit more in the way of branches under here, using the ink straight out on the pipette there. And then a little bit of a spray.